Hello, and welcome to Region Locked. Capcom, Namco, two of the biggest names in video game development, both have been around since the golden era of arcade games. Known for creating games where their characters cross over, the two companies have a history of not only cooperation, but also competition. The first title in which both teams joined forces never made it to the West. Featuring a huge number of characters from both companies, that game is Namco X Capcom. Developed by Monolith Soft, a subsidiary of Namco at the time, and published in 2005 for the PlayStation 2, Namco X Capcom is a different take on the strategy RPG genre. To add in mechanics that both companies are known for, the game features a fighting side to it. Attacking enemies requires moving a unit into a position where they can reach the enemy. You are then able to initiate a fighting-style attack phase. This allows players to attack the enemy with a variety of different moves by using the directional and circle buttons. You're given a limited number of attacks during this phase, and must attempt to do as much damage as possible. Different attacks are stronger against some enemies compared to others. This is demonstrated through a menu prior to attacking the enemy that will tell you their weak points. The game rewards clever use of attacks to combo and air juggle, providing you with bonuses like additional attacks, stat boosts, and damage modifiers. Performing all 5 different attacks during a battle will restore some of the unit's HP or MP too. By building up enough attacks and filling a power gauge for your character, it's also possible to perform a strong special attack. Some units are able to perform special moves when two characters have an affinity for each other. For example, while some units move around as a pair, some are standalone characters that can be moved around on their own. Ryu and Ken are standalone units, but if both are close enough together, they'll be able to team up for an attack that delivers even greater damage. When it comes to an enemy unit attacking you, there are a few different defensive options. The normal option requires you to counter enemy moves by pressing directional buttons as they appear on screen. Successfully doing this will reward you with bonus AP, and will make your character's turn come quicker. You can even use some AP to absorb a portion of the damage dealt. There's also an option which will use up some of the character's special attack gauge in order to simply skip the fight and take the damage instead. Some characters have their own moves too, allowing them to counter attacks by using up some of the points from the power gauge. As you can see, the game is very basic, but the main appeal of the title comes out of seeing beloved characters from your favorite series and how they'll crop up. Characters will know of each other, and common elements from each franchise will overlap to create a fully connected universe. This is done through dialogue, visual references, and elements you might not expect. This encourages players to explore character affinities and discover their multiple assault attacks. The game's plot follows the characters of Reiji Arisu and Zhao Mu in the year 20XX. The duo are tasked to investigate spiritual disturbances for a special underground organization called Shinra. During the investigation, they discover quakes that are causing rifts to open between worlds, a disturbance that occurred 10 years prior. These quakes cause several different worlds to connect and transport people between them. Heroes from all walks of gaming life are bundled together in your party, some from the biggest names in gaming and some from the smallest. The same is said for the villains of these games too, who are working cooperatively against you. A common complaint from reviewers was that fights became tedious after a few hours of playing and can distract from the plot. Maps can often take over half an hour to complete, and there are a total of 50 throughout the game. Regarding how the game came into creation, Namco executive Yoichi Haraguchi stated prior to the game's release, "Monolith Soft came to us saying that they wanted to make a game that featured characters from Namco. Our company is celebrating its 50th anniversary in June, so we were thinking that it would be great to bring back our characters from the past." The game had been a concept for 2 years until Namco came up with the idea of bringing in characters from another company. When thinking of developers that they could work with, the only company Namco could think of with enough unique characters to match their own was Capcom. Keiji Inafune, who worked on the Onimusha and Mega Man Legends series for Capcom at the time, was extremely excited to see the game come to life. He stated, "If it were a few years back, it would have been unthinkable to join hands with another rival company in the industry, but companies nowadays are more cooperative, and I think that it's a good thing for the video game industry. I hope that we can collaborate together with Namco again in the future." Namco X Capcom led to several titles between both companies being released internationally. After this title came Cross Edge, an RPG released on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2008. The game was a collaboration between Namco, Capcom, Nippon Ichi, and Gust. The two companies decided to then step away from RPGs and went for a genre they're both well known for, a fighting game that crossed over Street Fighter and Tekken. Following that was the 3DS RPG RPG Project Cross Zone, where not only are Namco and Capcom characters fighting together, but SEGA is thrown into the mix too. With the sequel Project Cross Zone 2 being released, we also saw the introduction of Chrom and Lucina from Fire Emblem Awakening joining the cast of playable characters, as well as Metalface from Xenoblade Chronicles appearing as a rival. This meant that the game contained characters from not only Namco and Capcom, but SEGA and Nintendo as well. We were unable to find an official statement on Namco X Capcom's lack of localization. Online sources cite different reasons, and we weren't able to confirm any of these. Some say that there were disputes between Namco and Capcom about who would be given the right to publish the game in the Western markets. Others believe that Namco didn't want to translate and publish the title outside of Japan because of the obscurity of many of the characters that appear within the game. A lot of the characters come from some very obscure titles that were also Japan exclusive. However, the characters of Reiji and Xiaomu did prove popular enough with Namco for them to be reused in later games. A fan translation patch was created by the group Transgen. It translates a vast majority of the game into English, enough to push through the game's story and to get a handle of the battle system. Many believe the translation demonstrates the ability and determination of fans. While it might not be a perfect translation and has a few minor spelling mistakes slipping in, it is still an admirable effort and one that should be seen as an inspiration. If you love the obscurity of some of these characters, maybe you'll love the obscurity of a game we've also covered. Why not take a look at our video on LSD Dream Emulator, and maybe even subscribe to the channel while you're at it so you can keep updated on our future videos. My name is Dazz, and this has been Region Locked. And hey, why not join us while we play a few stages of the game live, and you can ask us your questions. Head on over to our Twitch page, linked in the description below. If this video's been out for a while, we're not going to be streaming anymore, but follow us on Twitch anyway, and then you'll be able to keep up with our future streams. Have a great day.